Hi everyone. Thank you for being here with us today. Uh, we are just waiting for our guest for today to join in. We'll be talking about marble trends in residential, commercial, and workspaces with architect Love Chaudhary from And Design Studio. I'm just waiting for him to connect. Thank you for joining in. Just waiting for our guest to join in. I think he's running a bit late today. If there are any questions that you would like to ask our guest, please drop them into the question box here or in the comment section below. We should be starting in the next 2-3 minutes. We'll be talking about trends in residential, retail, and commercial spaces. So if you have any questions or if you need tips on design, please stay logged in. We should be starting soon. I am going to just check with him once where he is. Yeah, there he is. Okay. Hi.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I am doing good. How are you?
All
Very
good,
good
thank you.
afternoon. In fact, evening now.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's begin. We'll be talking about marble trends in residential, retail, and workspaces today. And I'll quickly
Mm-hmm.
introduce you to our audience. We have with us
Sure.
architect Love Chaudhary from Ant Studio. Architect Love Chaudhary, principal architect and CEO of Ant Studio, based in South Delhi, is a graduate from Vastukala Academy. Love has dealt with large-scale projects ranging from sprawling townships to urban-scale master plans and hospitality projects too. He aims to devise the best radical, innovative, and sensitive ways of shaping the environment through a pragmatic response to the needs of his clients through extensive design endeavors. So thank you, Love, for being with us on this series of Let's Talk Design. My first question to
Thank you for
you
having me.
is that your practice does a lot of residential and commercial work. What are the different ways in which one can use stone in interior spaces?
So see, I think stone being a natural material, we have a limitation of it, obviously.
Yeah.
It's developing as the nature develops. There's qualities to it, there's color to it.
Yeah.
So when you use it in a residential or a commercial space,
Yeah.
it should actually reflect the style and the nature
Yeah.
of the project and also the user. So if you're talking about a residential project, let's say I am a photographer and I have to build my house, right? It has to resonate to the style that I live in, the lifestyle that I live in. And similarly, the colors, the choice that of the marble that you will put in will be pragmatic and it will start from there. So that is the first source to look at, and from residential to commercial, our design style kind of evolves around the brief that the client gives. So it's his story that is weaved into the design.
Yeah.
So our first concept is the arrival of the brief from our clients, and we kind of debrief it and we utilize that information to develop design. So in residential, if supposedly a client is looking for a very airy open house, similarly, like as soon as we get that hold that this is what they're talking about, this is what their look and feel is, then the family of marbles that we look at for residential starts from white right away.
Right.
Because they are talking about an open, airy feeling. So what better than a white canvas which you can start to paint an imaginary painting of their house, so the colors can come in. The walls can start to take pictures. Then if you talk about natural wood being used, floorings in a different format being coming in, or if you start to put in even colors in upholsteries, the way the fabrics of the sofas or whatever the furniture you're putting in, that becomes the foreground. The background is what is a white base marble. So that is how we kind of pragmatize, that is how we illustrate design to our clients. And when it comes to commercial projects, we have to see the usability of it. What is the, how much is the, I would say, accessibility of that project? What is the rundown of that project? That if you're doing it for a mall, and if you're doing it for a hospitality project, there are going to be multiple people coming in. People will walk in sneaker shoes. People will walk in, the stilettos, the ladies would walk in. So there are different varieties of walk-ins that will happen, and there'll be a certain traffic. So it should be able to take that wear and tear. And obviously, we like hospitality projects, hotel projects to have a certain volume which is bigger than life. And that's what people start to idolize in their homes now, right?
Yeah.
So the language has to be in a way that you kind of combine the landscape, architecture, interior in one volume. So you start from the landscape itself, you pick up either a beige or a gray color which starts to resonate from the language of landscape, comes into the architecture, and then the interiors. So this is what it generally, that is how we have been doing it. And that's what I feel designers need to look at, that how you feel about the project from inside to outside and reverse from outside to inside. So the color and everything is a choice of brief and the usability of that project. So this is how we have been designing it for now.
Okay, sounds good. So your designs are a reflection of luxury and comfort. When you pick up flooring, particularly for residential projects, what are the things that one should keep in mind? What are the, what are the stones that you have worked with that work very well? If you could share some information on that, that would be useful.
So see, when we say that we have been doing something which is great in terms of luxury with comfort, luxury and comfort go hand in hand. I cannot really burn a client's pocket and make a masterpiece of a project. If supposedly Satwario has to be used on everything from a floor to wall, a ceiling, he does not need Love Chaudhary, he does not need Anand Studio, he does not even need an architect or a designer. That client is himself thinking of a different luxury. As a designer, as an architect, I have to make something which is not as lucrative, as deep-pocketed for a client like Satwario or Carrara or Calcutta kind of a marble, but something which is obviously which fits his pocket. But the way we have played it in design emulates an emotion. It is kind of an expression, and it is a lifestyle of the client that is depicted in that space. So when we pick up, we are firstly, I am more client oriented. We are not those architects or designers. So Anand Studio works on that vocabulary, that we want to be client friendly and not really put out statement projects or magazine projects or projects which are just Instagrammable, of it's like photographic memory kind of a thing. It has to be livable. The client does not need to have a servant and someone walks in and you see just a small dirt on the floor and he still go and clean this. It's not going to be like that. They have to live with it. It has to age gracefully. So the way we choose marbles is related to how the client really feels about that material. And so there are varieties. When you have the thickness, that variation of 16, 18, 20 mm, wherever the marbles has to be used, depending on the traffic that is going to be used. And when you emulate an emotion, so as soon as if you say a white, gray, and a brown, these are the general palettes of marbles, right? White will emulate a spacious, airy, and more open sort of a format. of a space in interiors in a residential when we are talking. So that could be used in a lobby space, which is inviting, where you have a lot of flux of daylight happening, right? So it will bounce off the light, it will create the space much more volumetric. It might not start to look like a 15 by 20 room, but much more than that because it's filled in with light. They're bouncing off, reflections are happening, so that happens. When you go in gray tones, then you're kind of starting to come into an enclosure. You're bringing the person from an outside to an inside perspective. And gray is more areas which are like living rooms, drawing, dining, these kind of spaces start to come in. And when we go about the darker marbles, although these format can be in one project altogether, you can use white or gray combination, or you can go from white to brown sort of combination. So brown is something which emulates coziness, warmth, which is very similar to what a wood, a natural material like wood would start to do. So we use it more in the spaces where you want a peace of mind. You want to have a certain sense of belongingness, but still within a defined volume. So this is how we have, developed about this.
Okay, that's really insightful. Thank you. Would you also sort of talk a little bit about how to play with different stones together in the same space?
So see, what I have been seeing lately, there's an international trend and there is an Indian trend. I would say there are two different trends running parallelly. What is happening in the international trend, they are shying away from a lot of detailed stone on stone inlay kind of work. They want to do very clean finishes. From the moment you enter a house, I'm talking about residential projects, from the moment you enter to the lobby to the bedroom, it's one sort of language which is being continued. And you would see, I would name a few architects like, Isaac Wenfield, and then this Toyo Ito, he's now an architect. So probably he does a lot of concrete and stuff. But when you see the use of materials in terms of stone and marble, they kind of depict one language throughout the project, but only the finishes on the marble has been changed. So it could be a honed finish, it could be sandblasted at a point and it is polished. So it's the same material, but the way the emotions is. So it's the same material you will see on a landscape wall or a weeping water wall, and it would be just chipped to make it like, a stone river wash finish kind of a finish. And when you're talking about, yeah, I think I lost you in between. So when you talk about the same
Yeah.
material being used in an interior space, you polish it up, right? You
Yeah.
polish it up to get that light. You want to have reflections on it. Then similarly, if I go into the kitchen areas, I want that it should not be able to absorb oil. The ruggedness of the floor should not be there. It should still feel like an interior space. So we kind of honed it down. So the finishes are. So this is the way you can play with marbles in that way. Now there's an Indian context to it. How Indian architects and designers have started taking on it. So we have started infusing a lot of patterns, which I feel in the kind of houses that we have, in the climatological conditions that we are having. So specifically, if I talk about Delhi, we have a lot of climatological influence in our projects in terms of interior and the selection of material. If our openings are way too big, we are inviting a lot of sun already, right? So in those spaces, playing with marble, playing with the pattern really works. It is like, you are illuminating the space. You are creating a sense of arrival by giving a certain stone and stone inlay. But if you start to do the similar in a bedroom or a drawing room format where probably the light control is not that much, you are somehow restricting the floor palette. It's as simple as that my eyes running into a bedroom under the the bed and then the sofa, continuing with one marble will always give a length and width, a thought process will go that it will look much more bigger. The room would start to look much more area, or it would have a certain depth to it. Versus if I start to do it a pattern, it will make the room look much more smaller. So you can use patterns in terms of corridors, you can use it in arrival lobby areas, or where, that's the entrance of the house, which could have a courtyard going down. So these are spaces you can really play with stone. Now, coming to the fact that as a designer, we are really limited with our finishes because we feel we are architects and designers and we know everything. That's not true. We need to really work with vendors, stone suppliers to understand how does one stone behave in a condition, and if the same stone is used in a different condition, how does it start to behave, right? So if I am not someone who's equipped enough to know that how exactly the same marble can be finished to a different degree of detail to be used in a kitchen and the same marble to be used in a bedroom, this I need to work with a supplier to understand, because they have really earned my respect, because they have worked on those quarries, they have seen things. They do tell that you can use it anywhere, but if you really talk it down and you sit with them and you really understand the idea behind that marble or its existence, you will really be able to justify its uses in a certain space.
Okay, sounds really good. So, in your experience, you spoke about trends earlier. What are the latest trends in residential spaces right now and in retail spaces?
So in retail spaces, I'll start with the hospitality uh, commercial retail
Yeah,
segment.
yeah,
So now I would say it has come to that level that we want to create really luxurious retail spaces.
yeah.
So, large format marbles have started to come in. Earlier, it was like a tile format of 3 feet by 3 feet, 4 feet by 4 feet at best. Now you look at really large slabs. It's like 10 by 5 feet of marble slabs being used, and the same marble being, depicted in a way that the floor, the reception counter of the attendant, the backdrop, even the ceiling at certain places. I was there in Mumbai, and I'm forgetting the name of the mall, and it was just clad in one marble beautifully. And at places, people feel, for a common man, he does not understand that how can really a marble go on a ceiling, and it's not something that you see done very casually. It has a detail to it, but it is beautifully transforming one canvas. It kind of binds you have the same feeling of being in a quarry,
Yeah.
and then the retail outlets are kind of cut in like punchers. They become the glass voids, and you can enter. So this is just one material palette kind of turning around, becoming the floor, wall, ceiling. So it is a very different, intrusive sort of design in the commercial and the retail space. Now, when I come to the residential part of it, what really has happened, design has taken a very different vocabulary. So I would say that the spaces and the design trends are more. Uh, we have kind of become again those. I would come to the fact that it's more of like social media awareness is what the design has started to push. Every corner, although it would not be the same way when the client is living in, but at least when it's shot, oh my God, people see that picture and they're like really liking it. So it could be, as I said, there's a marble pattern going on a kitchen countertop. I have seen that. So these are certain sort of design sensibilities that we have started to develop. We are emoting that to the client, but not something that I resonate to. But when I even see those photographs, I see those posts, and I'm like, "Okay, this is interesting." But then when you go into the depth of it, it is really not usable. Because the joints that would be created on a kitchen top with an marble or cornerstone inlay, they will start to get oil drips. There'll be some sort of mold developing in it, because you can never get a seamless feeling. So these are sort of I would say practical know-how that as a designer you should start to learn about it, but really not be put off as a designer, because what's happening in the world, we foolishly just incorporate it. There's a lot of more design sensibilities in India. There are examples out there that you can just follow. Even if you talk about this, I would say a simplest of the thing, the way a Red Fort or a Taj Mahal was built. What was the flooring? It was a natural stone marble use, right? It's still there for 50, 60, 100, 120, 200 years, right? And we build a house or even a pavement by, a municipal development does a pavement, and in a matter of 2 or 3 years, it's gone away, because we really don't know how a natural marble is behaving in a certain environment. We are just, kind of abolishing what we have learned in the past as, having that kind of, I would say, ethnicity and so much of culture behind it. We are really not looking forward to what we have as a history to us and use it in a design language. But what we are doing is just what is happening in the world, just put it over here. So our design trends at Ant Studio is really, I would say, deconstruct this whole myth of what is out there and really create something which can, really sustain. It is not just about, again, being a picture perfect space. It has to be friendly that I should call the client, or even the client calls me after 5 years. He's like, this is in perfect condition. I did not really have to put a housekeeping for it. It behaved really well. It has aged gracefully. And that is what we want as designers to happen, that the project does not look good just in 1 or 2 years of it, but actually 5, 10, 20 years down the line, because a residential has a life of at least 35 years or 40 years for now. So it should look the same way. It should age gracefully.
Thank you. That was really nice, and you've actually answered some bit of my next question. My next question
Yeah.
was, your work is sensitive to the environment. As a studio, your work is very, very responsive and sensitive to what exists around us. Do you have any favorites or recommendations on how stone sort of fits into that context? How can we use stone that is sensitive to the environment?
So see, although we are doing a marble talk, but I would say that stone and marble would obviously go hand in hand. Marble was an introduction from an
Yeah.
external agent to India. It was never locally, in terms of, you would have either Udaipur green marble and you would have Makrana and whatnot. These are Indian sensitive marbles, right? Indian contextual typological marbles. But whatever we are importing now is a certain sense of space. Let's say if you're getting a Carrara Calcutta from Italy, it's a certain sort of an atmosphere. It is a certain sort of environment over there in which it has developed, it has aged through time, and they have used it very nicely. And the same sensitivities, we have to start using it here. But I would say that we can always look back to our history. Coming back to, again, if I talk about a Golconda Fort, if I talk about, again, coming to something like that Fort, Taj Mahal, all these, every city or every state obviously would have a historical context. And I would say the best thing that you can really look forward is an example lies over there. The answer lies over there. That has been there for 150, 200 years. Imagine that material aging, and imagine a new material created now aging. So why not look backwards? So, I'm more of like a Khareda, Kadapa kind of a guy when I talk about sensitivities of material. And it can be really developed into very different floorings. We are getting material from Sri Lanka, and we are getting something, now something started sourcing from Bhutan. There's something coming from Oman. So these are different sensitivities of marble that have developed with environment. Similarly, India, the nature itself is providing you with a material base which is sensitive to a state, sensitive even to certain degree of cities as well. Jaipur would have, let's say we talk about a pink city or a blue city. Rajasthan has these typological things, right? And the same would happen in the natural marble as well. That's the variation that is, doing. It will have a desert sensitivity. It would have a 40 to 50 degrees, even 50, 55 degrees of temperature, which is being regained. So that kind of sandstone has come in. So why not actually take examples of those marbles, material stones, and utilize in your projects? So this is where I recommend that really look not to the another country next to you. It could be just 5 kilometers drive or walk from you. And this is the project that you can really take an example of and just imbibe those design principles, that how exactly it ages. You will see it aging in a very different way. So if supposedly you go to Delhi Old Fort, is just by the lake. It was a man-made lake at that point, covering Yamuna, and now the banks have obviously shifted. The way the stone has aged, where the water level has gone down, you would not see that it has got a weeping factor to it. It's not absorbed anything. It's just a algae has developed over top of it. But the beauty of the stone shows the timeline, that once Yamuna was here, once it was here, once it was here, it has gone down. It's not like just one level. It is not like a stone which has kind of wept, or the stone which has created a line with the weather effect, but it's just the porosity of the stone which shows that timeline. So you need to understand these sensibilities, and this can only come when you really work with vendors, put away your ego, ask them to come and visit you, because they would really, obviously, there's a certain business sense to it, but they would have really understood, why this stone is done in this way. And as designers, if we just start to interact with them, more of a collaborative talk, rather than it being on you being on that side of the table, I being on this side of the table being a designer. Collaborative talk. Your stone vendor next to you can tell you what is the best usage of that marble stone in your project. We should not be just narrowed by the fact that what we perceive is the world. There are always inputs coming in from the person you would never imagine that he can give you a really good input. So when people talk about, like, it is just simple that the best plumbers are in Odisha. The best carvers could be in Rajasthan. So why? Why is that someone who's out of who created a Somnath temple is actually a person who really has been working in the same timeline, the same generation of family has been working, because they've really understood that marble, a Baswara marble, how exactly has that transformed with time. They're able to use that. But if you ask the same question to a designer, and even I can't tell with whatever experience I've gained, that how exactly this would behave, they would know it. They would know the softer part of it. They would know what detail can be done on it, what cannot be done it. And as we said, design is always in the details as well. So if you can really detail orient your project and use stone vendors in a way that they impart knowledge to you, your projects could be a very outstanding project, age beautifully, sustainably. Because if not sustainable, then what? It should not be the case that in another 5-10 years you're creating a building which was really glamorous the first day it was opened. People really went gaga over it. But what happened after that? How did it actually weave into the fabric of the city? And is it still a landmark or not?
Sure. Thank you so much. That was really, really useful. I have a couple of questions from the audience, which I'm going to take up. One is, what are the best options for kitchen countertop?
So, see, Indian sensitivities, we would say quartz and granite.
Okay. The next one is, what kind of marble is most cost efficient, easy to handle, and at the same time durable?
See, if you talk about Italian marbles, you can go with any base family, which could be a Crema marble or a Diana. And if you want to really work on Indian marbles, I would say I have loved Makrana like anything. It's very readily not available now in the market, but the way it behaves with time, it can really give, run to any Italian marble manufacturers or any Italian marbles out there. The Indian Makrana is always the best.
Last question, what is the future of marble applications?
Sorry, I missed you out over there. There was a lag.
What is the future of marble application?
So the future of marble application would be that it's just not interiors now. It would really start to come onto the facade. It would be more of like a holistic approach to it. I have seen projects developed by Japanese architects in which the whole form has been developed in marble, and it has been like the interiors have been carved inside it. So that is where I feel, that is the future of the marble, that it has to be thought as a monolith stone. It's almost like the temples that used to be carved out in stones. So that is what you can really, be thinking of as a future.
Last words from you. We're following the hashtag Let's Talk Design. If you had one thing to say about Let's Talk Design when it comes to stone and marble, what would that be?
I think Let's Talk Design about stone and marble would be, what differently can we really think of marble and stone in 2021 in a way that we really start to think of sustainability as a major factor? Because if nothing 2020 has taught us is that really have patience, have nature being imbibed in your design. So if we can really work closely with these two things, I think we can really create something very different and a meaningful environment for the coming generations.
Thank you so much. That is super useful. This was a very insightful conversation. Thank you for being with us. As you know, A-Class is celebrating 50 years of being in the industry. As you've been a part of our journey at A-Class, so they'll be planting a tree on your behalf, and we'll be sending you a certificate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of the series.
Thanks for having me, and all the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much.